Hello people of YouTube. It's Kyle. I had a great idea. Let me see. As the name of this video is immediate communication with immediate extraterrestrial communication using quantum entanglement. Alright. So, I had this idea. It's not a great big idea. It's not earth-shattering. It's not like I've done any kind of amazing amount of, what's it called? Research to be able to figure this out. I watch a lot of Science Channel and a lot of Discovery Channel, although Discovery Channel has gone pretty right-wing nowadays. But anyways, a lot of documentaries, a lot of science documentaries. And these science documentaries, years ago when I was actually in college, I read this book about quantum entanglement. The ability to have two photons, or three photons, two photons mainly. They do this thing through like a fluoride or fluorine crystal, and they pump it full of photons and of light, and eventually some portion of these photons will come out being quantumly entangled with each other. And then recently I heard that someone's managed to make it so that we can quantumly entangle atoms and clumps of atoms, a couple hundred atoms, and they take a laser and they shoot it at both of these clumps of atoms, and so that these atoms are now quantumly entangled, and so that when this happens, you know, you spin one clump of atoms in one direction, and the other clump of atoms spin in the opposite direction. And there was this cartoon, this anime called Cowboy Bebop, and they had these little walkie-talkie things with the video, with the video feed on it, and someone was able to be hanging out by Saturn and immediately, talk to somebody that's, hanging out on Earth or whatever. And, I was wondering how this would work, and then I found out about quantum entanglement, and so I figured that maybe, one bunch of people, these two people, when they're together, they would take their two little machines and they would stick them together, and they'd press a button and they would shoot a laser across there and make it so that, the clump of atoms and their, this person's thing would, be quantumly entangled with the other person's thing and this other, bunch of atoms. And so would make it so that they can immediately, have immediate communication. Okay, yeah. The thing about quantum entanglement is that you spin one clump of atoms in one direction, and the other clump of atoms, no matter what the distance away is, somebody said that it could work, across the universe. That, if we have one clump of atoms here on our planet, they're quantumly entangled with another clump of atoms, that are on the other side of the universe. Immediately, when this, when we spin this on our planet, the other ones on the other side of the universe spin. So that's, what is it? Einstein called it spooky action at a distance. He knew quantum physics so well at that time that he had expected that this would be something that's possible. And, years later, I think after he died, people actually have confirmed this, that, quantum entanglement was actually possible. That's awesome that he could foresee that something would that something would be possible before he was able to, prove it, and then other people have proved it later. So anyways, this quantum entanglement, like I was saying, I had heard recently that someone had made this system so that they can use a laser to quantumly entangle two clumps of matter. And, you spin one clump in one direction, and the other one, spins in the opposite direction. And if somebody on the other side spins that clump in another direction, we could see this clump in our side, spin in, the opposite direction. So that would be two-way communication using, one bit of information. Our clump of atoms is our qubit, our quantum bit. And so, anyways, also a number of years ago, I had seen on the Discovery Channel or the Science Channel that somebody had said that maybe instead of extraterrestrial species sending out radio communications, that they may actually be using light. They may actually be using high-powered lasers to shoot out into space to communicate with. And so, I was watching a documentary a couple days ago about communicating with extraterrestrials, and I had this idea. That if extraterrestrials were to quantumly entangle a clump of matter on their planet using a laser, and they were to shoot that laser beam out into space, and that laser beam 50 or 100 years later would arrive at our planet, and we were to have satellites out in space, so that they're outside of the atmosphere to kill the degradation of the photons, blah, 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 through our atmosphere, that if we were able to capture one of the photons from one of their lasers from their planet, then we could probably take it and quantumly entangle a clump of atoms on our planet. And, after that 50 or 100 year, transit time of this, laser beam actually getting to us, once our clump of atoms are quantumly entangled with their clump of atoms on their planet, then we could have immediate communications. Like I said, we spin our clump of atoms, and the clump of atoms on the other side of the universe would immediately spin too. It's not like it takes, the information is traveling at the speed of light. It's instantaneous. So, once that 100 or 50 or 100 years, these photons are traveling at the speed of light, across these, 50 or 100 light year distances, once we're able to, quantumly entangle our, atom clump, with their atom clump, we would immediately be able to have two-way communication. And that'd be awesome. So, that was pretty much my idea. I would expect that this idea, people have talked about, using quantum entanglement to have encrypted communication, on our planet and stuff like that, which would be cool and everything, but, but my thing is that we could use this for communicating with extraterrestrials. I would expect that extraterrestrials that are at our technological level or a little bit beyond would have come up with this idea, and that they would be on this idea. They would already understand this, and that they would probably, there might be some, extraterrestrials out there that thought it'd be pretty cool to be able to communicate with other, extraterrestrial beings, immediately. So, yeah, they send their quantumly, they have their quantum bit on their planet that's, entangled with this laser beam. They send their laser beam out across the universe, 50 or 100 or, 150, 200 years later. It lands on our planet, hits one of our special satellites that has, probably a million, quantum, clumps of, what's it called? Clumps of atoms. That there would be computers on this satellite that would be monitoring, the spin of these, clumps of atoms, and when it sees patterns like a frequency or a carrier frequency, or certain patterns that seem like communications, because I know that nowadays inside of cameras, digital cameras and stuff like that, they have an algorithm that watches, the lines going across, the screen, and, if it's able to see a line, that'll make a certain pattern, and then it can, focus, it can focus because it sees that line, so it focuses until the line becomes, nice and crisp. And I would expect we could use, algorithms kind of like that to be able to see if this quantum bit is vibrating in a certain way, spinning in a certain way at a specific frequency or whatever, that, we could probably get information out of it. So I guess that's probably about all the info I can figure out about this. I don't want to make it sound like I'm some type of super amazingly intelligent person, I dropped out of college once we got to Calculus 1, and we started doing these quaternion conversions and stuff, and that didn't make any sense to me. I couldn't see any, patterns. But, at least with my aspersion outside of the three-dimensional box thinking, I can loosely, connect some things. Well, I've taken all these ideas and connected these ideas, and, so I figured this might be a possibility, because I know that they've used a laser that they can shoot from one building to another building that's like 5 or 8 kilometers away, and they can quantumly entangle their clumps of atoms, and they can, do communication, even though I haven't heard yet of anybody actually successful in making a two-way communication using, 1 qubit, 1 quantum bit of information, ones and zeros from these clumps, spinning and blah, blah, blah. I haven't heard of anybody actually successfully making a walkie-talkie or, video communication or, whatever. But it seems like it's possible so far, and I thought there might be a possibility that sometime in the future, SETI, instead of just using radio waves, will probably also be trying to use light beams. I would expect they would probably, the extraterrestrials would probably know to use some kind of, what's it called, visible light, because anybody that knows about the Chandra X-ray observatory, that, X-rays, you can't use a lens to, focus X-rays, you have to use a long cone thing, because whatever, X-rays don't work the same way as regular visible photons do. And so I would expect they would use it in some kind of visible, light spectrum. And I know that infrared can actually make it through dust, the dust, the cosmic dust out there in the cosmos. That X-rays, that infrared can make it through. And also I know that here on Earth, when we went to the moon, they put a bunch of retroreflectors on the moon, and so here on Earth we send, like once a year or something, we send a green laser, towards the moon, and it hits those retroreflectors, and eventually when it makes it back, they said that it's in the infrared spectrum. It's not green anymore, it's infrared by the time it gets back to us. And I don't know how that works or whatever. And I don't know if them sending their laser beam, across the universe, or, whatever light years worth of travel, if it would, degrade from visible spectrum down to, like infrared or something like that. And, if there are planets coming towards us and our planet's going towards them, it would be red shifted, up in the ultraviolet or whatever. Or if they're going away from us, and, it'd be red shifted towards the infrared or whatever. But, I thought that if we were able to capture some photons from their, their lasers that has, on their planet, a clump of atoms that's quantumly entangled using this laser beam, and we were able to catch photons, using this laser beam, that we'd be able to quantumly entangle one clump of our atoms on our planet, we would immediately be able to have two-way communication between us and them, because the quantum, effect is immediate and, doesn't travel at the speed of light. It travels immediately, apparently, they say. So, there you go. There's my idea. I'm going to spam this video to, all the different YouTube channels, the setiinstitute here in America, and also, NASA and the European Space Agency, and my good friends at the Nottingham University, because they have a channel called Big Sky something. But that's it. That's my idea. People have talked about quantum communication here on our planet, but I've never ever heard anybody say anything about using quantum communication to try and communicate with extraterrestrial species, because once our atoms, our clump of atoms is quantumly entangled with their quantum, their clump of atoms, then we would have immediate back and forth two-way communication. That'd be awesome. Okay, Thank you for your time. I appreciate it. Take care, everybody. Bye. Also, one more thing. I would expect that sometime off in the future, once we perfect this two-way quantum communication, that our probes that we send to, the outer planets, and the outer planets in our solar system, and also our rovers that we send to Mars, using this quantum communication, since the quantum communication is immediate, that we would no longer have to do this thing where we send a radio signal, a packet of information to, the rover that's on, Mars, and it takes 20 to 40 minutes to get there and 20 to 40 minutes to get back for, a confirmation, that eventually there will be the possibility that some dude here in JPL will be sitting in front of a monitor seeing real-time video, immediate, right now, in time, real-time video of what's going on in front of their probe, rover, on that planet, and be able to tell it immediately, will drive, 4 meters forwards and 2 meters, to the left, then do something to that rock, and they'd be able to watch it, in real time. And plus also probes that we send out to the outer solar system, like the Pioneer 10 space probe, which my mother worked on. And, subsequently she started teaching me electronics when I was 7 years old, and, so, if we were able to do that on the Voyager, space probes that are leaving our solar system now. So, yeah, one day in the future I would expect that we would have, immediate two-way communication with the probes in our solar system and beyond. Okay, so there you go. Thank you for your time. Take care, everybody. Bye.